Hey there, my name is Ezra Cohen, and I first of all just wanted to say thank you so much for downloading this course. I am so excited to talk about tour visuals today. We're going to be talking a lot about, the big picture sort of concepts and the way to think about tour visuals in an effective way, down to the nitty-gritty of what kind of plugins I use and the very practical steps of how to see this through in the most effective way. But a little bit about me to start. I've been a freelance filmmaker for the past 3 years, and then I've been working professionally in film in some other capacity for at least 10 or 12, and working with brands like Sony and Express in the commercial world, music videos, documentaries. I've had the opportunities to sort of span a lot of genres and try a lot of different things, and tour visuals has become one of my favorite types of projects to work on. Because it's so strictly visual. I don't think that there's any other sort of project that allows you to just experiment so much with texture and color and how those things affect you. Literally, the color red can change the entire way that a song feels. And, even in a music video, as abstract as they can be, I doubt that you'd be able to get away with just putting up the color red for an entire song. You know what I mean? But in tour visuals, there's this sort of beautiful sort of big picture where you get to play with the most microscopic of details and see them blown up to a 50-foot wall and see how that affects things. And really what's cool about it is that in studying tour visuals and just practicing and getting better and working on all these projects, the techniques and the processes that I've learned have not only, made me better at tour visuals, but they've also made me sharper as an editor in general. Working on any of the other genres of video that I get to work on. I mean, even recently we had this documentary that I was working on where it was very raw, handheld, gritty, not, I would almost say not very pretty at sometimes, footage. And we were able to sort of tie the whole thing into this very polished piece because of the concepts that I sort of applied from the world of tour visuals to these opening credit scenes. And so I say all that to say, and I know I'm kind of rambling already, but I'm really excited to talk about this. I think that you're going to walk away with a lot of practical steps, a lot of ways to think about things in a different way, and I hope that this really affects you as a filmmaker in a positive way, and that you'll be able to walk away with a lot of new tools that you didn't have before this. So let's get started. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about tour visuals is that you have to be an amazing animator, that you have to have years of experience in After Effects or Cinema 4D or whatever, have this very mathematical mind. And, a lot of people are surprised when I tell them that I make most of my tour visuals in Adobe Premiere. For you, that might be Final Cut. But, you can do a lot with a little. And there are so many great, even just built-in plugins in Premiere that allow you to do so much. And really, it's more about how you think about these programs and being intentional about how you use what you have to create something amazing, more than, okay, I know how to use After Effects, I made this 3D render, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes those things really get in the way in my mind. And so, all of this kind of stems from the next point that I want to make, which is that, think about if a music producer today, said that he couldn't be a music producer because he didn't know how to play drums. Well, that doesn't make any sense because we all know that today in music production, people use samples on a regular basis. And there are, thousands of amazing drum samples out there that you can pull from. Well, in the very same way, that producer, even if he did know how to play drums, he could either go through the steps of renting a studio, renting the mics, setting them up perfectly, recording the snare, taking that back, compressing it, exporting it, blah, 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 to have the perfect sample. Or he could go ahead to a library that already existed, take a perfectly recorded snare sample, and then twist it and make it his own. And I know that's kind of a long analogy, but that's kind of the beauty of the world that we live in today, is that there are so many assets already created for us. that it's more about thinking what something can be than just thinking, how do I create something from scratch? So that's kind of something that I would encourage you to think about as we move forward is, don't be afraid of stock assets. I know that's like this taboo thing in the film industry or in the video world, whereas in the music industry, people have learned to embrace that and just make things their own for the sake of efficiency. And so I would say the same thing to you. Like, sometimes the most efficient thing to do is to go and grab that snare or to grab that loop and see what it can be. And that's something that's really helped sort of set me free to explore and to create with a more efficient sense of freedom. And so moving forward, you'll see that I have a lot of things that I pull from that I've either created myself and I've sort of set up as my own assets, or there's plenty of times that I jump on, some site and download something that I know can be something else. I think it's more about training your eye to know what something can be than just seeing it for what it is and moving forward with it. Because, if you give me, I can take a stock asset and twist it to the point of being so unrecognizable that you would never think that it wasn't original, because it is original. And so I just want to allow you from the start of this whole thing to think about it a little bit differently than maybe you have in the past, that you don't necessarily have to have all the chops in the world. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is more figuring out what things can be, twisting them, making them our own in a unique way, but also saving time and being efficient so that you can grow as a business, not waste time, make more money, make more amazing stuff, and move forward. So, yeah. Another one of the big foundational concepts to sort of take into this process is the fact that less is more. And sometimes when you're sitting in a 15-inch laptop or a 27-inch iMac, it can seem like what you're doing is really boring, and the temptation is, okay, I've got to create more. This isn't interesting, whatever. But something that is really interesting on on the corner of a 27-inch screen or the corner of a 15-inch laptop, when you take that into an arena and a 50-foot wall, it can be overwhelming, and you won't even be able to look at all the details that you can see so easily on your screen. And I say that to say that sometimes, again, less is more. And sometimes you'll be looking at the screen and think, well, why is he doing that? Like, Ezra, why are you making something that looks so boring right now? How is that going to be, anyone can do this and this looks stupid? Well, think about it again. Like, that little thing, that a little line growing around an arc isn't going to be interesting on a 3-inch surface, but on a 50-foot wall, it's going to feel insane. So just be thinking about the context of your show. That's a huge takeaway. That's really important, is to kind of be thinking, backwards on this whole thing.